When you think of Barbie, what's the first image that comes to mind?
Hi, my name is Mariah, and when I hear the name Barbie, I think of her. Hot pink, blonde hair, blue eyes, and she can do and be anything.
When I think of the word Barbie, the first thing that comes to mind is pink. Definitely pink. Blonde hair, blue eyes. I always used to love customizing my Barbies by coloring their hair a different color or changing their makeup. So I think of the word thankful when I think of Barbie because she introduced me to the thing I love most in the world, which is dolls.
Hi, I'm Beth Ramsden. When I think of Barbie, what image comes to mind? For me, her silhouette is what I picture. Her slender neck, her straight shoulders, her slim waist. It's the exaggerated figure, ready to dress.
When I think of Barbie, I think of pink. I think of blonde hair, blue-eyed doll who can be anyone she wants to be. And I also think that there's been a lot of transformation when I think of Barbie. Welcome to the Barbie Icon Collab. Barbie, created by Ruth Handler in 1959, is an internationally recognized icon. But what makes an icon, well, an icon? According to the Harvard Business Review, an icon can be a brand, a person, place, or even an inanimate object. Quote, when a brand creates a myth, most often through advertisements, consumers come to perceive the myth as embodied in the product. It also comes as no surprise that to be an icon means to also face controversy. Many major corporations face backlash for how their choices affect consumers. Same for celebrities. We as fans or consumers put people and businesses alike on pedestals. So when their narrative changes and blows against our own, it can cause friction. For many long-standing icons, their ability to grow, educate, and change is what helps them remain relevant and icons. Barbie has been well loved for 63 years, longer than thousands of brands throughout its short history. Knowing this history means a better understanding not only of Mattel and Barbie, it also is a reflection of other doll companies like Smart Doll, who without a doubt have been influenced, big or small, by her existence. So why all of this talk for a fashion video? Well, I've been transparent about this before, but I was not at all a doll collector until Smart Doll. So my understanding of any doll manufacturer is limited to Danny Chu and Culture Japan, which I love and respect very much. So when asked to be a part of this collaboration, I struggled to think of what to do. I don't have the same relationship to Barbie as others, which meant a struggle to find meaning in this project, which is important to me. Sandy, with My Lady Disdain, made mention of the first Black Barbie, who made her appearance in 1980. I loved this idea, and I felt strongly about it. A few months later, when talking to my good friend Kyle, known on Instagram as Otaku Sensei K, who has been an avid doll collector in the Black community for many years, he made the suggestion to me of Magic Curl Barbie, the first Black Barbie doll that was not labeled as Black Barbie. She was simply Barbie. At the height of the civil rights movement in 1967, the first attempt at a Black Barbie was named Colored Francie. Francie shared the same sculpt as Barbie. Her name, along with her skin color and unchanged face sculpt, was considered extremely offensive. Francie received much backlash from the Black community for the doll not being reflective of someone with black or brown skin. She would be pulled from the shelf in 1976. In 1968, La Chrysanthemum Nicole Jackson, shortened Christy, was born. Christy is considered the first Black Barbie to have black facial features. She had the same height and body shape as Barbie, so they could wear and share clothes. She had two variations, one where her hair was straight or brown-black, and either long or short styles. In the years to come, she would adopt an afro and darker skin. As aforementioned, I chose, thanks to my good friend Kyle, to focus on Magic Curl Barbie, who is considered the first Black Barbie that wasn't labeled or otherwise advertised as being Black Barbie on the box. In fact, the commercial, which I apologize for the poor quality, does not at all advertise her coming in other skin tones. So I chose to recreate this Barbie's beautiful look for this collaboration to honor those moments of representation that brought so much joy into people's lives and marked the beginning of an even longer road for Mattel and its road to equity and inclusion. I'm always really bad about documenting my sewing process because I have a lot of self-doubt when it comes to sewing, and sometimes, a lot of times, I put too much pressure on myself, I overthink things, and then I just get too afraid to film it. Again, I'm upcycling or repurposing from Goodwill. I found this beautiful yellow blouse, which is the perfect color. It's very lightweight and it had some natural ruffles and elastic. So right now I am just sewing on the sleeves to the top, which I will then connect to the skirt. Welcome back to Kat Sucks at Documenting Her Sewing Progress. What skirt is sewn. This is inside out, obviously. And so I am attaching the top to the skirt, but I am making a conscious effort to keep these two flaps open so I can try the dress on inside out on the doll and figure out how tight I want the skirt itself to be. So here's a lovely amateur mistake that I made where the seam should be in the back and it's totally in the front. And part of that was when I was connecting the top to the skirt, I was not paying attention to where it was going to line up. So the good news is that there are supposed to be two pieces of lace that don't go down directly in the middle. They go kind of off to the side. So I'm going to put the lace over the seam so there won't be a seam. I went a little bit too big at the shoulders here for the neckline. So the yellow lace that I bought is this elastic stuff, and it's got the really thick elastic band, and it just looks really not good. This is lace I have, which looks more along the lines of what is represented in the dress, but it's not yellow. So here we have some yellow food coloring. If this doesn't work, I am going to use yellow Sharpie, which is going to take me for freaking ever. So hopefully this will work. Here's some lace water ASMR. I had to boil the water and it is still really not catching a lot of the dye. I'm gonna try to add a little bit more. So much better. Before, after. Let those bad boys dry, and then we have neon. That would have been really, really bright. Granted, we are gonna use a really, really bright ribbon for the waist, but one little pop of neon I think will be fine. So now is shoemaking time, which is either going to be a hit or an absolute miss. I bought Orbula, which is moldable plastic. Sandy with My Lady Disdain recommended it. And so what I've done is I tried making shoes out of hot glue, which I will try it again. But what I did was I traced the foot, traced that just by heating up the Worbla in hot water. It's like these just little plastic beads, and I had a pigment pack that I mixed to get color. And so now that I have the base of the shoe, it's an open toe sandal with a heel. So I am going to try and copy the mold for this heel to the best of my abilities, and then make a strap that just goes over the toe of the shoe and see if, you know, that works. Oh my gosh. This has definitely been a process. I think I will do the sheets next time than just the beads. It just dries, and by dries it sets so quickly. High heel sandals made from the plastic. I did all, like, the majority of the molding by hand. What am I lying about? I did it all by hand. First attempt shoes were not very good. So Sandy with My Lady Disdain sent a really awesome image for a shoe that I feel like was going to be a little bit easier to replicate. So I have the shoes. It's going to be a square toe high heeled sandal. The toe strap, there we go. This will be the toe strap. And then this is going to be the back with the chunky heel. This piece of cardboard that I cut out is going to be attached here, and it's going to be hollow inside the heel. And then I will put a bottom on it when it is done. I wish that I could display this a little bit better, but I am going to use the Worbla again to heat and shape, but I think that this is going to work a little bit better. I'm also going to need to figure out what angle, how I want the shoe to be angled to best support the foot inside. So yeah. Yeah, so I didn't end up using the Worbla. I ended up using the cardboard pieces and then applying craft foam and a little bit of fabric. And this was as good as it was gonna get. However, I learned that there is sheet Worbla, which I can use kind of a similar method with in the future. And I also have a better method if I want to continue to use craft foam in the future that I thought of after the fact.
You realize it wasn't at all like what you created in your mind. It wasn't even nice. You wasted all your time. You didn't even like him in real life. Real life. Talking about that real life. Holding on 'cause it just feels nice, but let's get back to real life. Real life. Talking about that real life. Holding on 'cause it just feels nice, but let's get back to real life.
Part of what makes this collaboration so special, aside from the incredible team of creators that have come together to share their vision, their passion, and their love for the Barbie doll, is also the opportunities that it presented for me personally. And it's in a way that I hadn't given a significant amount of thought of before regarding this community. I have said that word so many times, and I thought community meant one very specific thing. Us, together, enjoying this hobby. But what I failed to see is that community takes work and it requires awareness, self-awareness, and knowing when the things we say or do and how they affect the world around us, specifically the doll community. I am very, very grateful to have, in just the short few months of thinking about this collab and where I thought it was going to go, to have made some incredible friends, have heard some amazing stories, and there's even more stories that I haven't heard and I'm excited to learn more about for people in the community and also for individuals who have sadly left it. I feel very, very strongly about making this place the best it can be, and it isn't something that I can do alone. It isn't something that a company can do alone, right? These are things that we do and we can do together. So in choosing to discuss the first Black Barbie, what it meant for me is I couldn't just talk about it, right? Without really thinking about the impact that representation has. So I'm taking this moment on my channel to discuss some things that I've learned, some things that I hope to do moving forward, and I also wanted to share the definition of a word that has become very important to me, and I hope will be an important conversation piece moving forward, because at the end of the day, we can't address all of the issues or concerns regarding community in one video. That's a lot to think about, but it's a starting point, and it's an opportunity for those of you who feel like you want to be heard, or maybe you're not, or you're afraid to speak or use your voice to share your thoughts and feelings. So I want to introduce a word, and it's a verb. And this verb I think is really important and very relevant in society today. And that word is ally. So ally, a verb, is the act of consciously promoting, educating, and advocating with the goal of promoting an inclusive and equitable experience for all, especially individuals who are either considered a minority, underrepresented, or a part of protected class. I never really truly understood what it was to be an ally until I started researching it, until I started asking questions. I had thought throughout most of my career that I was doing these things. I've worked in the nonprofit education community my entire career. I've worked with individuals of all walks of life, all backgrounds, and I thought that in doing so and having good intentions and wanting so badly to help and be of service to others, that I was doing that and doing it well. It wasn't until doing a lot of self-reflection did I have to take a real deep dive into myself and start to look at my flaws, my strengths, and also my multicultural awareness. And what was I doing to promote racial equity? And what I've realized is that I did a lot of talking, and I believed myself to be a person that was good and had good intentions. And while good intentions, I believe, are a truth for so many of us, and I do believe that I have and had good intentions, I wasn't doing the work. And at the end of the day, when I look back on it, I know that there is so much more that I could have done to be better. And I totally hold myself accountable for that, and I take ownership of that. There's no excuse for some of the things that I chose to say or do. So what am I going to do moving forward? What is my plan for my channel for moving forward? We all come to this group to feel like we belong, that we matter, that we understand each other, that we're not an outsider. And so in doing that, we should want everyone to feel that acceptance and that love and that care. Here are a few steps that I took from Cheska Lee, who is a well-known comedian. She is an activist. She is an influencer, and she has a really wonderful YouTube channel. And she educates a lot on how to be an ally. While we're focusing a lot on this, specifically for representation for individuals who are Black or brown, this should apply, whether it be race, gender, ethnicity, ability, neurodivergence. So here's some things that I've been working on and I wanted to share with you. And I'm sharing this not to be like, this is what you should do, because at the end of the day, I can't tell you what you should do or what you have to do. That's not in my power. So what Jessica Lee talks about, and if you would like to watch her video, I highly recommend it. I will link it in the description below, along with many other wonderful resources. Number one is understanding my privilege. And I've had a lot of conversations with people over the last few years about what it is privilege. And the way that Jessica Lee describes it is so good that it was like an aha moment for me. So the way that she describes it is it's like horses wearing blinders. We're all horses, right? Metaphorically. And we're wearing our blinders. When we wear our blinders, we're not aware of what's going around on our sides. We're just focused on what's going on in front of us. So when I think of privilege for me and my awareness of it was when I traveled overseas. That was for the first time that I could think of in my life that I realized that I was like very aware of my Americanness. It was a understanding that I was not the majority, right? And that not everybody likes Americans. All I could do was be aware of it, to listen when people were talking to me, asking me questions, or even being a little frustrated with me and how absolutely uncomfortable I felt. And I realized that that's the definition of privilege. There's a lot that I don't know. I don't know how many states in the country have laws against populations. There's a lot that I don't know. And because I don't know, and until I take the time to learn, I'm wearing blinders. Understanding my privilege means taking my blinders off and trying to look at the world through a different perspective. The second one is listen and ask questions. To educate. Listen. Active listening. But to educate means to take the time to do the research, to ask questions. If you are lucky to be surrounded by friends of all different backgrounds, then you have resources at your fingertips, which is incredible. We should not rely on those friends to educate us, but in the event that they offer to, like my friends have offered to help me, that's incredible, and that's a gift. And if it's there on the table, wonderful. If not, there's wonderful resources like Jessica Lee and lots of online videos and other activists, influencers who talk about these things. Speak up, not over. I'm a talker. And for most of my life, I felt like I had to relate to somebody in order to have a conversation. In graduate school, I had to take a multicultural awareness exam. You rate yourself and then you're actually rated by the psychologist who was giving the assessment. And I rated myself much higher than my results were. And what I found out when we were discussing the results was that I have a strong need to relate and to share experiences. And when I do not have a shared experience, I try to make one, create one, or change the subject so that we find that common ground. What I didn't realize was that it was hurtful and that I was basically like telling people, whether it was outright or just giving the vibe, was I can't talk to you unless we can share an experience. And that's part of that awareness, is recognizing and appreciating our differences. Knowing that we are different, accepting that, and it's okay to listen and to say, I do not know what it's like to be in your shoes. I don't, but I would like to learn more. And that's an acceptable response. The speak up also deals with knowing when it's okay to call someone out. I don't mean bully. I would never ever want anyone to be bullied, period. But knowing how to bring something to someone's attention that may be considered offensive or concerning, and doing so in a way that comes with good intention and with care is important. I've had so many amazing conversations with people in my life, my family, my husband, my friends that I have never had before, ever, because of this video. And I'm so happy that I did. I had conversations with people that I thought I wouldn't be able to have a conversation with because I thought they'd be mad or upset. And I was just like amazed. I know that this won't be the case for everyone. I know it won't. Because at the end of the day, the person that we're talking to or the person that I'm talking to has a choice, right? Take it or leave it. And knowing when to walk away, knowing when to leave it and walk away. But it also helped me understand the people that I assumed would not take well. And that's another really important thing that I learned is assumptions are 99.9% wrong. Recognizing that mistakes happen and I will make poor choices. I will say the wrong thing, I will do the wrong thing, but I have to be able to own my stuff. I have to be able to take ownership for when I mess up. And if I do make a mistake, it's on me to not be defensive, to not get upset, and to recognize, to reflect, and to come back a better version of myself. Because that's part of it. I'm not perfect. I am so far from perfect, so very far from it. And I will never reach perfection, but I will do the best I can to reach the best version of me. Lastly, remember that the word ally is an action. I do not earn a title of an ally. This video does not make me an ally. Ally is a choice. I'm not a runner if I only run once every couple months. I'm not an ally if I only care to listen, ask questions, seek out more knowledge once a year. Again, I am so fortunate to have friends in this community that want to collab and that inspire me and push myself to be better and to do better. And I want you, huge shout out to my lady Disdain for having this idea. Thank you, Joe, for your expertise. You have taught me so much about sewing, and I so very much appreciate you and all of the knowledge that you have given me. Beth, you are a gem. I don't think I would have had the courage to try and make shoes had you and Sandy not opened up that discussion about the process of shoe making. I think that's wonderful. So please support my friends and go watch their incredible videos. You will not be disappointed. I love you all so much. I'm gonna leave you with something that I heard that I felt like was incredibly powerful. The feeling of remorse or guilt does not lead to change, but those feelings either remain feelings or they result in action. As always, I love you all so, so much. Thank you for being here today, and I will see you next week. Peace out, my bean sprouts. Bye. I'm a smarty girl in a smarty world. Smell that vinyl. It's delightful. You can change their hair. They come with underwear. Representation, that is our foundation. Yeah.